Slow down, you're moving too fast. Got to make the morning last. Just kicking down the cobblestones, looking for fun and feeling groovy. Ba-da-da-da-da-da-da, feeling groovy. Hello lamppost, what you knowin'? I come to watch your flowers growin'. Ain't you got no rhymes for me? Do feeling groovy. Ba-da-da-da-da-da, feeling groovy. I got no deeds to do, no promises to keep. I'm dappled and drowsy and ready to sleep. Let the morning time drop all its petals on me. Life, I love you, all is groovy.
Good morning. We're the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Elkhart, a welcoming community encouraging religious freedom, nurturing individual spiritual and ethical growth, celebrating diversity, and promoting a just and sustainable world. My name is Ken Claiborne, and I'm a member of the board of this congregation. We'd like to welcome you all to our virtual service this morning and thank you for joining us.
Good morning and happy 4th of July. My name is Amy Kaliza DeBeck. My pronouns are she, her, and hers. I'm the minister here at Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Elkhart, and as our years begin on July 1st, this is the first Sunday of my 14th year. So it's wonderful to be with you all, and I'm so glad you're here. We are working on moving toward being able to worship in person together. I don't have a date, but when I do, I'll share it with you. And even when we begin to worship together in person, we'll still be able to get to all of you who are not going to come to UUFE. So that's good news for this new year of sorts. So I have a few announcements to make before we get into the worship service. First of all, I had a great vacation, and while I was gone, Patty and Chris French gave you all a fantastic jazz brunch service, and we all enjoyed the worship service together from General Assembly with, I think it was something like 4,300 Unitarian Universalists worshiping together. So I appreciate the vacation. I appreciate that everybody pulled together to have some great worship services, and also it's really nice to be back. Now, heading into some of the fellowship life things that have been going on, the first one is real hard. Pedro Galicia is 40 years old. He's a great guy. He's a talented artist. He is a prolific podcaster. He has given me, which in turn gave UUFE, the idea that when we go live, hopefully in a few weeks, the program will be called Switcher Studio, and that idea came from Pedro. Pedro and his family, that include Jess and Willow, are going through an unimaginable time where Pedro has been dealing with kidney cancer, and his doctor has consulted with the family, and they have all decided that Pedro will be in hospice. So this is of course very difficult for the family and for those of us who know them, and they have a GoFundMe page that their friend Abby put up, and I hope that you might visit that. Definitely read about it, and if you can, donate. That leads me to another important point about life at UUFE. We have a couple of Facebook pages. If you do Facebook, the first one is the official page, and it's long. It's the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Elkhart Facebook page. But then we also have the more casual one that is called UUFE Peeps, which is a phrase that sometimes we use instead of people. We say my peeps. So if you had wanted to join either of these, go find them on Facebook, ask to join, and both of those pages have a few administrators. I'm one of them, but other people are too. And if you were wondering how to learn more about us, you could get on to the official page or the Peeps page. We're having an ice cream social live in person at 1732 Garden Street at 1 o'clock today. Often over the years, I don't know, I think it might have been 30 or 40 years, Dave Stokely and Doris Stickle would host a 4th of July picnic at their house. And beginning a couple years ago, we started to have it at UUFE instead. And then, of course, last year was the pandemic. Also, we lost Dave. Doris is living at Miller's Mary Manor. And in this transition time, we don't want to just not do anything. So we're having an ice cream social, and you need to bring your lawn chair. It'll be from 1 to 3, and I do hope that you'll come. We did a Facebook Live event on, I think it was Thursday night. We have a new president as our year begins on July 1. Our president is Susie Meeks Wade, and we got her husband to sign the membership book. So if you'd like to sign the membership book, if you'd like to talk about what being a member means, you can do that anytime by contacting me, or you could show up at the ice cream social and I will have the membership book. There are other announcements for this time as well, but I've gone on quite a while. The other pastoral care thing that I want to tell you about is from a few weeks ago, but Jim Barnes and I had a good check-in, and he also has been having some health concerns, and he's feeling quite well, and it's going quite successfully. So after I've spoken with him and found out exactly what he wants to be shared, I'll share it. But for now, I just want to say that I'm really happy to be back, and that it's going to be a great year.
Hi everyone. Today's chalice lighting is by James Morrison. Within each of our hearts there is a most glorious light. Go forth and let its spark help you understand what troubles both you and others. Go forth and let its light of reason be a guide in your decisions. Go forth and bring its ray of hope to those in need of help in both body and spirit, that they may find healing. Go forth and fan the flames of passion to help heal our world. Go forth and spread the warm glow of love, pushing back the darkness of the world. Go forth and share your glorious light with the world.
is the spirit of this church, and service is its law, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. This is our covenant.
The title of today's sermon is You Can Do It. No, wait, it's We Can Do It. Because recently I have been reminded that encouragement alone does not always teach the lesson, but it sure helps. On my vacation in June, I got to hang out with my 3-year-old grandniece. We don't get to see her very often, and Kevin and I were wondering how long it would take for her to warm up to us. The answer was not very long. The first night we were all sitting around my sister's living room, and little Elizabeth came up to me and asked if I could sing the 5 Little Ducks song. I will include a link to this song in the email that goes out and in the comments under the posting of this, because if you want to sing the Five Little Ducks song at home, I encourage it. So I didn't know this song, and in case you haven't heard it yet, the hook, as it were, is that you get to say quack, 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 and flap your arms like a duck. That was the part I caught on. Also, maybe kids learn counting from the song because the mama duck wants all 5 ducks to come back, but each verse is about a diminishing number of ducks returning. At any rate, Elizabeth sang the first few lines and said, "Now you sing it." I told her I don't know the words. Not to be dissuaded, she came up to me, patted my arm, and said, "You can do it," in her best encouraging voice. The fact that I still didn't know the words did not dissuade her. I explained that each song sounds a little bit different, and I don't know how this one should sound. She said, "You can do it." I tried one more time to explain that if she would sing it with me, then I could learn it and we could sing together. Her response was to tell me it's a song about a mama duck and her 5 babies, and they all say quack, quack, quack. And then she looked at me. Well, failing to produce the song from my mouth, she shook her head, clearly disappointed, and went off to do something else. As we get closer to having worship in the sanctuary at UUFE again, I think about how things are going to be different as a result of the pandemic. There will be many times when some techie person is going to have to teach us how to do something, like she tried to sing a song with me that I didn't know. At those times, there will be learning and growth, but I'm also really hoping for a spirit of encouragement. And I hope we give each other the time and space we need to get us really back together. The flip side of things being different when we gather after our long time of not being together in person is that we get to have many opportunities for new growth. For starters, we will all wear masks because little kids cannot get vaccines yet, and some adults are not medically able to. One of the big differences that will be pretty obvious is that we will be using technology in our worship services in ways that we haven't before. When we get back to meeting in person, we will use a program called Switcher Studio. It enables us to share our services with people elsewhere. We'll even be able to share in our sanctuary on a screen we can all see that if somebody else has something to share with us from their remote location, we'll be able to do that. This will be available for our worship services and for other events we do as well. We can do it. The pandemic was rough, and it had a terrible impact on many of us. There have to be some lessons, though, or it all just remains a miserable chapter in our lives. Silver linings might be too strong of a phrase to use about a deadly virus that killed over 500,000 U.S. folks, including some of our friends and family members, and Anthony from UUFE. And it sickened many of us. Maybe the pandemic does not have silver linings exactly, but it does have lessons. I think of little Elizabeth with her can-do attitude, and I think to myself, we can do it, even if we don't know the words yet. We are not in the habit of using the technology the way that we soon will be. But then I think there was a day just about 2 years ago that I tried to teach one of the committees to use Zoom in case the weather was bad, and it just wasn't going to happen. And look at us now. All of our meetings are on Zoom, and we can do it. Think of next winter when the weather's bad. We won't have to cancel a worship service. We can just have an online service. I'll have to put my online studio back together again, but we can do it. I've received emails from folks who have watched our online worship services and thanked us for doing them, even though you all, it says in my script they, but I'm talking to you. Even if you never cross our path or come into our sanctuary, It's something that evangelical churches have done for years, and the pandemic forced us to play catch up. Well, I don't exactly see me preaching in front of a praise band, but if our little congregation is going to have some kind of reach beyond these four walls and a roof, we need to be finding ways to reach into the community and let people know we're here. A recent study showed that less than half of Americans attend church regularly anymore, so hoping word of mouth will make people aware of our presence isn't enough. Providing excellent services that are accessible in multiple ways makes us more inclusive, makes us more inviting, and we can do it. One lesson the pandemic brought home for me is that technology doesn't make worship less personal or less meaningful. It's different. On the contrary, it gives us one more way to come together and learn something new together. It gives us one more opportunity to really be compassionate and think about other people's needs. We already were aiming for better accessibility in our in-person services with our hearing assist devices. But when my tech crew brainstormed how we're going to do the reopening with really great accessibility, first it became clear that teamwork is better than solo. But they also came up with doing something like closed captioning for words to go across the bottom of the screen and help with different styles of hearing and learning. Rather than scoff at this idea or be concerned about whether we can do it, the idea received encouragement, so we'll work on it. It might not work. It may take lots of tweaking, but even if it's not perfect, we can learn as we go. With your encouragement, we can do it. Unitarian Universalism is a liberal faith with liberal values, and during the pandemic, we, like many other congregations, prioritized personal survival over our communal growth or outreach. It happened to a lot of congregations, a lot of groups, a lot of individuals, because we were not in person encouraging each other. As we prepare for this next chapter, may it be in the spirit of beloved community. One simple thing that we do and that we've always done is care for the earth. And while we independently kept up with things like recycling and such, when we begin to gather, we could do things like carpool, or we could stay at home and cut down on fossil fuel use. We could even decide to use fewer paper orders of service, as you'll be able to see the information on the screen in front of you. Many other congregations started doing this before the pandemic, and now it's our turn to embrace all kinds of different ways of new technology that gives us more choices. We can do it. Science and growth require that we stay flexible and keep adapting to newer, better breakthroughs. My kids were pretty weirded out to hear this, but I recall as a child when grocery stores began using plastic bags rather than paper. That happened in my lifetime. And the idea was sold to consumers as an ecological thing. It was a way to cut down on using paper. As a child, I was told, think of the trees. Here's 18 plastic bags that used to fit into 2 paper bags. Well, that innovation has reversed itself for sure. Some states, like Maine, have banned the use of plastic bags entirely at the point of sale, while in other states, specific companies have stopped. Changes have to be adapted to. After about 15 months of doing everything possible to stay distant and be safe, now, in a move that feels pretty sudden to me, but I'm catching up, we are allowed to gather. We still need to be safe, and with so many opinions out there, it might lead to some conflict, even within our own fellowship. But we are brave, and we care about the worth and dignity of every person, and so yes, we can do it. We listen to scientists. Sometimes we even do things that our neighbors think is absurd, like wearing masks or getting vaccines, or not sharing food yet to reduce risk. Coming back together in the next weeks or months will require that we encourage each other, not scoffing at leadership's suggestions and following science. We can do it. The last lesson I will lift up from both the pandemic and from that very wise 3-year-old is that great ideas, marvelous breakthroughs might come from somebody not expected. I mean, who would have guessed that Dr. Anthony Fauci would become nominated and seriously considered as one of America's sexiest men? I mean, he didn't win, but it's always great to be nominated. Here's the enduring lesson from Elizabeth, the unexpected source, who tried to encourage me into knowing something. Communication is key. We do better when we make sure that we're on the same page with the words and phrases that get used. I don't always recognize a life lesson right when it's upon me, but this time I did. In trying to use words she would understand, I took a guess that she might not know the word tune. I could not simply say, Elizabeth, I don't know the tune. So I had to work a bit harder, and I said, not all songs sound the same. Her response showed that she understood what I said, and so she told me the story behind the song, because not all songs sound the same. Tune, schmoon. In the case of that adorable niece, I will have years to get on the same page with her. As for us, the life lesson is to encourage people to keep sharing thoughts and ideas until we have come to a common point of understanding. We will have to begin again in love, over and over and over again, because that is what beloved community is all about. And I'm guessing that you know how this sermon ends. We can do it. For our closing hymn today, I have a special piece that I want to share with you all. In the spirit of Elizabeth, who wanted to teach me a new song, in the historical spirit of sing and response, call and response, I want to share a song with you by Shoshana Jedwab. I hope I'm saying that right. When I was going to the General Assembly in New Orleans a few years back, it was during a time of great stress within the Ministerial Association. Our leader had resigned, and there were a couple of people who had been brought up on misconduct charges, and it was a hard time to imagine that I was going to travel all the way to New Orleans to be with some colleagues who might be feeling upset with each other. And at one of the first things that we all did together, we had a worship service, and my colleague Marta Valentin did a call and response that I have just loved ever since, and miraculously it's on Vimeo, not on YouTube. So we're going to be able to include the video after I talk about it for a minute. So the woman who wrote it, from her website, it says Shoshana is the middle school Jewish life coordinator at the A.J. Heschel School and has been an award-winning Jewish educator there since 1991. She's a drummer. Shoshana regularly drums for Congregation Romenu and Kirtan Rabbi chanting events. She is the founding facilitator of drum circles at the JCC of Manhattan and leads Jewish-oriented drum circles nationwide. That's enough from the biography online, but I hope that you will maybe pull something out and drum on it. But I hope that you enjoy this closing hymn, closing song, and I hope that the spirit of call and response helps you learn a new song. Next time, maybe we'll do 5 Little Ducks. But I hope that you enjoy this closing hymn.
Will.
Okay.
Where you go, I will go. Immigrants, where you go, I will go. Where you go, I will go. Immigrants, where you go, I will go. Where you lie, I will lie. Immigrants, where you lie, I will lie. Where you lie, I will lie. Immigrants, where you lie, I will lie. And your people are my people. Your people are mine. Your people are my people. You're divine, my divine. And your people are my people. Your people are mine. Your people are my people. You're divine, my divine. Muslims, where you go, I will go. Muslims, where you go, I will go. Where you go, I will go. Muslims, where you go, I will go. And where you lie, I will lie. Muslims, where you lie, I will lie. Where you lie, I will lie. Muslims, where you lie, I will lie. And your people are my people. Your people are mine. Your people are my people. You're divine, my divine. And your people are my people. Your people are mine. Your people are my people. You're divine, my divine. Grandmother, where you go, I will go. Grandmother, where you go, I will go. Where you go, I will go. Grandmother, where you go, I will go. And where you lie, I will lie. Grandmother, where you lie, I will lie. Where you lie, I will lie. Grandmother, where you lie, I will lie. And your people are my people. Your people are mine. Your people are my people. You're divine, my divine. And your people are my people. Your people are mine. Your people are my people. You're divine, my divine. Ancestor, where you go, I will go. 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 Where you lie, I will lie. Ancestor, where you lie, I will lie. Where you lie, I will lie. Ancestor, where you lie, I will lie. And your people are my people. Your people are mine. Your people are my people. You're divine, my divine. And your people are my people. Your people are mine. Your people are my people. You're divine, my divine.
Thank you for being with us today. Our benediction comes from the Reverend Sarah Lammert, who says, "Go in peace, embraced by the light and warmth of our gathering. Go in love, ready again to struggle on. Go in beauty, shining forth like a lamp for freedom. Blessed be. Amen. Go in peace.